So excited to have you here. So taking really good care of ourselves, taking good care of our kids, and taking good care of our relationships. So also don't look in behind me because my office is a mess right now. And I really need your compassion and your grace on that because I don't want to have to worry about it. And I don't want to have to not give you this really good information because I'm worried on how messy my office is. Okay, so don't look at it. And so today we are going to be talking about patience and how to keep your patience with your kids or how to avoid losing your patience with your kids. Now, I know that this is a topic that is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. I asked my audience about, in my groups, about what they wanted to hear from me on, and this was like way outperformed the other options. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to not lose your patience with your kids. And I have a few quick tips for you on it, 5 total, and we're gonna jump right in on them. So we are gonna get started. So losing your patience with your kids. The number one thing that I see parents do, and when I talk to them in our coaching sessions, is that they are waiting too long to hold a limit. Now, and then if they are asking their child to do something over and over again or asking their child not to do something over and over again, they've asked it 3 or 4 times and then they snap and they lose their temper. We lose patience with our kids and we use a stern voice. We maybe yell. We maybe help their bodies a little bit more roughly than we want to. And we've kind of stepped out of that place where we are parenting from our true values and goals. I really think that the reason for that is because we waited way too long to set that limit. If you are snapping, if you're losing it, if you're losing your cool, if you're losing your patience, that is a key to you to know, next time I need to set that limit and hold that limit more firmly much sooner. And that will be better for everyone. Our kids might not like the limit that we're holding, and that's okay. They don't have to like all of our limits, especially if we're mindfully choosing limits that are there to keep our kids safe or to uphold our family values or keep other people safe. They don't have to like those limits, right? And so my number one tip on this, on losing your patience, is to set and hold the limit earlier. What does that look like? That looks like if I've said, we're leaving in 5 minutes, I've given fair warning, or we're leaving after you put these next 3 blocks on your tower and we have to go to school, and they put the next 3 blocks on, I'm there. I'm ready to hold that limit. And I say, okay, those 3 blocks have been put on, and now we're going to move to putting our shoes on. And I help them move through that, okay? And that's what I want you guys doing. That's what it looks like. We can't expect a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, even a 6 or a 7-year-old, to have that level of self-control to just do what we ask right from the very beginning. Sometimes we have to set and hold that limit. And that's what it looks like. Sometimes holding that limit looks like carrying a crying kid out to the car. Now, of course, we don't like to do that. When we do have to do it, we send love through our arms so that our fingers are soft and gentle when we have to touch them and help their bodies. But that's what holding the limit looks like. And it's not after asking for the 3rd, 4th, or 5th time. It's after asking 1 time. And when we start holding that limit consistently after asking 1 time, then they know that they can trust us. They know that when what my mom says or what my dad says is going to happen is going to happen. I can trust them. I can lean into it. I can relax into it. And they follow us. When we become those confident leaders, they want to follow us, and they do. They show up that way when we're showing up with more confidence, okay? So we're setting that limit and we're holding it much earlier, all right? So that's the number one way, and that's because that helps us not lose our patience because we're not testing our patience. There's no, our patience kind of system isn't being tested. When we've asked for the 3rd or 4th time, we've been testing it too much on our own systems. And so we really need to be aware of where we are in that. And maybe 1 time isn't the right number for you. Maybe you know that, asking 2 times is, after that you start feeling triggered by it. So don't ask a 3rd time. Help them move along to what you need to do, okay? The next piece that I think is super important is practicing the pause. So when we are feeling triggered, when we feel that sense of our patience is starting to go, we have to be really, really aware of how to get that space. And space is where we get to move from being reactive to being responsive. When something happens and we react really quickly, oftentimes that space is very short. The pause is what gets that to lengthen out, and then we start to be able to respond more mindfully, with more presence and with more intention. Right? So we have to get that pause in there. And we don't get that pause by only attempting to have the pause in the moment. Because in those moments, we're triggered. We're not in a good learning state. Just like when our kids are throwing a little bit of a tantrum, if we're having a mommy meltdown, we're not good learners right then, okay? So we have to practice that pause outside of those moments. And that's what meditation and mindfulness does for us. It helps train our brains to be able to drop in to a moment of pause anytime we need it. So that's a skill, a tool that's accessible to us. It can't be a tool that's accessible to us if we only practice it in the moment when we're triggered. We have to practice it outside of the moment, okay? When our brains are ready to learn, when our brains are ready to upload new information and streamline that process, okay? So that's where mindfulness comes in. That's where self-compassion meditations come in. That's where the 3-minute process while you're waiting in line at Culver's, which is a local ice cream chain that my family goes to. Those 3-minute, like 3 minutes, or maybe you have 3 minutes before the bell rings when you're picking up your kids, or maybe you have 2 minutes while you're waiting in line at the bank. Those 2 minutes of dropping in, noticing your breath, you can do it anywhere. It doesn't have to look a specific way. Getting that practice in, training your brain to get to that pause. Okay, so practicing the pause. Those are the two big things around like how to, in the moment, garner more patience for your kids, okay? The next two things that I'm going to talk about are more mindset based, okay? So this is where you're really working on yourself, okay? The first one is being really, really kind to yourself, offering yourself grace. I don't know about you, but I know for me that when I start becoming impatient with my kids, I also have this narrative in my head of impatience with myself, where I'm not treating myself with compassion. I'm not treating myself with grace. It's running through my head and it comes out, and it's almost like playing a game of emotional hot potato. I'm like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. I'm not being kind to myself. I'm just gonna pass this kind of to the next person who I interact with. And that happens to be my kids, all right? So being really kind to yourself. If you have a narrative of, I'm late for, we're going to be late for school. I'm always the mom who's running in and looking disheveled, and what are people going to think about me? And then we snap and lose our patience with our kids because they're not getting their shoes on fast enough. That's about us. That's on us. That's not being kind and graceful to ourselves. And it is almost impossible to offer our children grace and compassion when we haven't offered that to ourselves first, okay? So it's starting with ourselves. It's so important, that mindset of being able to, in the moment, recognize the narrative, start rewording it, and offer ourselves grace and compassion, okay? It's crucial. And I can teach you how to do that. We don't have time to do that on these lives because I have to keep them, a little bit short. This is what I do with my private coaching clients. And it's what I'm going to be talking a little bit about, this new group coaching program that I've been being begged for. That's what we're going to be doing. So the next one, the next piece of it, that's, again, it's about you, is really taking really good care of yourself. Now, I feel like self-care is something that moms and parents hear about all the time. I'm not going to give you another self-care lecture right now. You know what you need to do to take care of yourself, but just make sure that it's happening. And I don't mean it does not have to be big stuff. I'm not talking about mani-pedis or hour-long massages or acupuncture sessions that cost a lot of money. I'm talking about the basics. Making sure you get enough sleep, alternating with your partner so you can have a moment of rest, getting exercise that feels good to your body, eating foods that are nourishing your body so that you're not hangry with your kids, right? Toddlers are not the only ones who get hangry. We have to take care of ourselves. And these are basics, making sure your basic human needs are met, because you are human and you're deserving, and your kids deserve a parent whose basic human needs are met, because you show up better in your parenting when those needs are met. So again, we're not talking about big, overwhelming self-care. We're talking about basic human everyday self-care. Taking good care of yourself, making sure you're nourished and well rested so that you can show up in a way that's better for your kids. Because when we're well rested and well nourished, and I don't mean just nourished physically, I mean nourished emotionally and spiritually, all of those things. When we're well nourished and we can show up in that way, we have more patience. We have more reserves of self-regulation to draw on in those challenging moments, okay? So I'm gonna go through those 4 things real quick that we've talked about first. One is setting the limit earlier. If you're getting to the 3rd or 4th one and that's where you're snapping, you know you're at an area where you have to set the limit on the first try, okay? You set the limit and then you hold it firm right away so that they can trust you. The next one is practicing the pause, engaging in some form of mindful or meditation type practice that allows you to get that space between reacting and responding, okay? So in order to be more responsive and less reactive, we have to get that space and you have to practice that pause, okay? The next one is being really, really kind to yourself. So that's number 3, offering yourself grace and compassion in the moment so that you can offer your child grace and compassion in the moment, rather than just passing on all of those feelings of impatience that we have with ourselves to our kids, okay? And the 4th one is taking really good care of yourself, making sure your basic human needs are met because you are worthy, because you are a human who is deserving of rest and nourishment, okay? And then the 5th one, which is the biggest one, and I feel like is the biggest struggle that almost all of my clients who come to me have, is figuring out your own triggers and healing them, okay? Just this morning, I feel like my daughter, who's 6, has been offering me the opportunity to heal an old wound from childhood over and over these past couple weeks, okay? Because she, for her love language is gifts, and her younger sister just had a birthday. And so she has been showing up in a way in our family that is triggering all of these thoughts in my brain about how she's spoiled and she's selfish. She only thinks about herself. She's ungrateful. All of these words that are running through my head that aren't true. They're not true about her. She is generous and compassionate and kind. She's beautiful in that way. But her behavior lately has been triggering this narrative for me, and it's all about me. It's all around my own feeling of worthiness, and that I'm selfish or spoiled, this narrative that I have from old wounds from childhood. And she's been offering me this opportunity lately to really heal from that, and that's what I need to do. So triggers, we need to identify them and recognize them for the opportunity that they are. Our kids trigger in us things that old wounds that have gone unhealed for far too long. And I have a process for dealing with that, so that when I find these triggers, this is one I didn't even know existed until the past couple weeks, when I find them, I can heal them, and they aren't triggers anymore for me. And so when it comes to patience, we mostly lose our patience when we are triggered, right? And so your main job here is to discover, get those triggers, get really curious with them, really kind and compassionate with yourself, understanding that those triggers come from the small child that we once were, who is hurt and is hurting still within us, and start healing them. And that's the work of parenting with consciousness and intentionality and with presence. Because if we have these old wounds, if we have these hurting children running the show in our minds, we can't be fully present with our kids, because that story, that narrative is taking over. And so I feel really strongly about this around triggers and healing them. And so I know I promised to talk about this group coaching program that I'm starting up, that's where we're starting. So the program is for intentional, conscious parents who have dug into the world of respectful and conscious parenting and are still finding themselves kind of unable to to put it into practice on a daily basis, or who do really well on certain areas and then have these certain other places where they show up in their parenting in a way that is not how they want to. It is not lining up with their goals, but they just can't seem to get over that last hump. Okay. And so that's what my program, it's called Parenting from Within, is all about finding these triggers so that you no longer, and healing them so that you no longer have to rely on the scripts that parenting experts give us, so that we no longer have to keep searching for the one fix that is going to make us the parent that we are so longing to be. That the answers are not out there. They're not within me. Those answers are within you. And that's what Parenting from Within is all about, is helping you find your unique, authentic voice so that you can show up in your family, with your loved ones, with your kids, in the way that is authentic and compassionate and uniquely you. So that's what you get. That's the outcome in Parenting from Within. I developed this program because I talk to a lot of parents who are struggling with these exact same things, but they don't have the financial resources for one-on-one coaching. And I don't have the ability to offer those services at a rate that's low enough to be able to afford and still have enough time to help all of these people. So we're working together to make this space one that is affordable and within reach for the families who are really dedicated and want to make this leap. And it allows me to help more people all at one time. And the other thing too is that I really think parents have so much innate wisdom, especially the parents who've been doing this work. They know so much, and we have so much to learn from each other. And so the other piece of this is that I am wanting to create a co-learning space where we are co-creating the content together, that to really capitalize on what you have to offer other parents, because you've been there. You've been where they are, they've been where you are, and we can help each other out. We do not have to do this alone anymore. You do not have to sit in your house, sit in your head, working on this and feel so alone anymore. We talk all the time about how we are not supposed to do this alone, how we need the village in these really practical ways, like we need someone to help us with our share care for our kids, all of those things. But we also don't need to be alone in doing this work. We can have a village on this work too, and that's what a group coaching program offers you. This program is an 8-week program, 6 weeks of content delivered by me, 8 weeks of group coaching calls where we all hop on a call together. We can see each other, we can talk with each other, we can share with each other. And then there's 2 implementation weeks in there where we will have a coaching call, but there won't be new content because I think people get overwhelmed. So it's an 8-week program. You get 8 one-on-one sessions essentially with me in the program, and you also get a community of like-minded parents who are working on these same things that you are, and I would love to have you in it. So yeah, I'm gonna set, here's the link to the webpage where you can join. I've opened this up to my community who watches these lives, and you know who you are. You show up live every week. I love you. I'm so glad that you're here with me. I haven't opened it up to my broader community yet. I will be doing that soon. I wanted to let you know that we're starting this group coaching process, Parenting from Within, on May 20th, and the doors close on May 13th. Sorry, May 12th. Sorry, yeah, May 12th. They close on Mother's Day. And I did this for a reason. So I put, we're doing this on Mother's Day because I don't know about you, but I didn't become a mom for the chance to get jewelry and flowers on Mother's Day. I became a mom because I wanted to have a deep connection with a family. I wanted to have a place where I felt at home. I wanted to have a place where I felt that we were creating something really special. And when I'm triggered, when I am parenting from a place of my that's being run by my old narratives, I'm not doing that. I'm not parenting with intention. I'm not parenting with presence, and I'm not creating that space, that vision for my family that I really wanted. And so that's what I know I want out of my motherhood. And so I decided to do this at Mother's Day because I think I'm not alone in that. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you feel differently, that's fine. Maybe you did join, become a mom for the flowers, and that's fine too. I don't care. But if you became a parent for that higher purpose, this group is for you, and that's why we're doing it now in this crucial time. The other piece that I wanted to let you know about this program is that it really is for people who are ready to commit to change, who are ready to do the work, to invest in it and say to the world, this is what I'm doing. This is what's important to me. I might have to forego joy shopping trip to Target. I might have to forego my daily latte at Starbucks, and I'm showing up and I'm choosing this and committing to it. That's who we want. And we already have people who are in the program. I hope you're going to join me. I have a limited number of spots, and it's only open through Sunday. So you have this week to ask me questions. If you need to hop on a phone call with me, please let me know. Send me a message. We'll talk about it. And you can get all the questions answered. Some of the most common questions that I'm getting are things like, when are the weekly live calls going to be scheduled? They will happen. We'll schedule them once we have the group, so we know who can be there. So I don't know the exact time yet for those weekly calls, but we'll all work together to find a time that works, and they'll be recorded. So you can submit your questions ahead of time. Everybody's going to submit their questions ahead of time so that I know what questions to answer on it. And I'll speak directly to your question on the live, and then you'll get a recording of it. And that recording is in addition to the content for that week. And the content looks like videos, workbooks, journaling prompts, and deep dive thought processes and meditation audio recordings. So you're getting a lot of great education, a lot of great training, plus these live coaching calls so that you can implement that training and actually be successful at it. That's what I want for you out of this. I want people to make this change, to hold each other accountable, and I'm going to be right there with you. You're going to be able to hear about how I'm putting this into practice with my own family in the moment. We're going to have our own Facebook group where we're going to be sharing with each other in the moment and getting support. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I really, really hope that you're going to join me in it. So you can get all of the information there. And I also want you to reach out to me with any questions. If you have feedback about, worries about, is this going to be too much? Is this going to be too deep? We can talk about that. Is it too expensive? Is it out of the budget? We'll talk about that, okay? But please reach out if you have questions on those things. Oh, and there are 2 payment options. So there's a pay in full right now where you get a little bit of a discount. And there's also a payment plan option where you pay there's one payment every 2 weeks over the course of the program. So if you need to spread it out, that's great too. But I've priced it where I can, and this is the beta version of it too. That's something else I haven't mentioned. So you are going to get an unparalleled ability to shape this program if you join this time around. The price will go up the next time I launch it. It will be a more significant investment next time. Because you're joining the beta version of it, you not only get pretty much half of what it's going to be, you get to have a say, a real honest goodness say in what we do. It's going to be completely tailored to the people who are in this group. There will be tailoring in the next versions, but not at this level. You guys are going to be teaching me what you need to know, and I'm going to be creating that content specifically for you. It's a beautiful opportunity to join this. We're going to be creating this together. I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited to have you join me in it. Okay, So that is all I wanted to say about that. If we have questions about it, please let me know, and we'll get you in all those questions answered, and then hopefully get you enrolled, because I think that this is going to be a beautiful opportunity. Okay. So thanks for sticking with me through all that time. If you have questions now, I'm happy to answer them. If you want to jot them down in the comments, either on Instagram or on Facebook. If you're watching the replay, just know I always hang out in the comments. And before we wrap up, I just want to go back through the topic of this talk, on how to avoid losing your patience. And I think it's really important to know that these things, these 5 things that that we talked about today in terms of losing your patience, those 5 things this is exactly the type of thing that we're going to be covering in this group coaching program, except we're going to go deeper. And I'm going to give you the practices and the process for how to heal your triggers, to how to offer yourself grace and compassion, and how to practice that pause so that you don't lose your patience with your kids, okay? So to avoid losing your patience, you set the limit earlier, you practice the pause. That means you engage in time outside of those moments so that you can drop into a pause with curiosity and compassion in the moment, right? We don't run a marathon without running, well, I don't ever run a marathon, but we don't go out and run a marathon or even a 5K without training first, right? So the meditation, the mindfulness is the training so that we can have that pause, that space in the moment. So we set the limit earlier, we practice the pause, we offer ourselves grace and kindness so that we can offer that grace and kindness to our kids. We take really good care of ourselves. We make sure our basic needs are met so that we're not showing up to our kids hangry so that we can be our best selves with them. And so the next step is we figure out our triggers, okay? So we commit to figuring them out, understanding them, and healing them so that they don't show up anymore. And when we do that, patience happens. It just happens. There's more breath. There's more pause. We are in our conscious brain and not in our animal brain, and it's beautiful. Okay, so let me know if you have questions on those things. If you have questions about the program, feel free to message me or drop them here. And I hope to hear from you, and I hope to see you in Parenting from Within. I hope you'll join me on that journey. Okay. Bye. Take really good care of yourselves today and every day. All right. Bye.